Who is there on the other line? The Darshan, is it?
Darshan, the representative center.
Huh? Karthik, what is your name? We can't hear you. Niranjan.
Yes, sir.
Niranjan. Hello. Niranjan.
Yeah, I just heard him.
Will come. Just a moment, sir. I'll be connecting.
Niranjan.
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
Niranjan, tane?
Yeah, 2 minutes. I'll be coming. I'll be.
Okay, no problem. He will be in charge.
Yeah. I told him to mute everybody, sir.
Yeah.
To accept, you and me.
Yeah.
And President, and because people will be talking now, so all that sounds will be coming.
No, people, I don't think they will come on this thing screen at all.
Achha, their voices will be heard, no? Their voices also not heard?
Voice also not heard.
Okay.
Until unless we allow them.
Okay.
If we want anybody to allow them to speak, then we will only.
Sir, because we have time today.
Yeah.
Veeramani ji and Yashwant is not coming. We are almost left with about 16-17 minutes more.
Yeah.
In that case, you can ask Mr. Mahesh if he is coming under the. You can bring in Mahesh for some time for
Yeah. Anybody who wants to speak, we'll allow.
This gentleman Rajgopal, the ex-DMG wants to speak for 5 minutes.
Okay.
What is the relevance? I don't know, but we can allow him also.
But what is he going to speak on China? No China talks about the subject.
Yeah.
Tell him that it is relevant to the subject that we are having the webinar on.
Sir, I'm unable to see you. Why you?
I'm not switched on by this thing.
Video, okay.
Sorry to interrupt you. I got Niranjan here. One person, Sanjay Kumar, is there.
Why his voice is a little
breaking
and sort of booming. So we'll have to tell Niranjan that whomever we say, then he should bring online.
Yeah, we will.
Okay, Mr. Sanjay Kumar, sir.
He can come, but don't.
Okay. Can I promote to panelist?
He's not in the panel.
Somebody else.
He's not in the panel. They can be there.
Yeah, he is not.
Sir, what we can do? We can send a list of. He's having that, no?
Who?
Yes, sir. I have. Sir.
He has that.
Yeah, can you hear me now? Hello.
Hello. Sanjay Kumar.
Yes. Here, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Am I audible? Yeah, great. This is Sanjay from Trimurti Exports.
Yes.
Yes, sir. Nice to meet you guys, and it's a good, I think, topic today. I don't know how hot it's going to be, but some good topic.
Niranjan?
Yes, sir. Sir.
You're online?
Yeah, 1 minute, sir. 1 minute. 1 minute. Yes, sir.
Niranjan?
Yes, sir.
In case we need a few more people to join in to speak.
Yes, sir.
We will tell you the names. You will have to put them online, okay?
Yes, sir. No problem. I will do that, sir.
You can do it.
Yes, sir. I think Rao sir has got my WhatsApp number.
Yeah.
I'll be active in the WhatsApp.
I'll do that.
Okay.
But you'll be online also. Somebody should be online.
Yeah, I'm in live.
Okay. Good afternoon, Mahavir Saab.
Yeah, good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon. Namaskar.
Namaskar.
Sir, how are you?
Nice to see you after a long time. बहुत दिन के बाद आपसे मुलाकात हो रही है.
Only webinars.
वो भी वेबिनार में.
चलो बढ़िया है.
Good. बहुत गर्मी है क्या? बहुत गर्मी है क्या जयपुर में?
Oh, बहुत. Today I think 42, 43.
Oh my God.
But yesterday was 47.
Ashok Shetty.
Oh my.
Day before
Bangalore में
yesterday,
No, but
Bangalore में 26-27 degrees है.
sir,
अभी 2 दिन पहले तो
I'll just tell you.
you can say in Friday 49 था.
कहाँ पर?
Yeah, जयपुर 49.
49.
सर सुनीता जी,
हाँ जी,
सर एक मिनट है.
बोलिए.
अपना जो अशोक शेट्टी साहब को लिंक नहीं मिला है,
हाँ.
उनसे फोन आया कि is unable to, he did not get the link through the mail, whatever, some problem.
Okay. I'll ask SR Prasad to send it.
You please tell him.
Rasa,
I'll just call him now.
Rasa,
Niranjan.
ಸರ್
ನಿರಂಜನ್.
ನಾನೊಂದು ಲಿಂಕ್ ಕೊಡ್ತೇನೆ. ಎಸ್ ಸರ್ ಸರ್ ನಾನು ಲಿಂಕ್ ಈಗ ರಾವ್ ಸರ್ ಫಾರ್ವರ್ಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೇನೆ, ಅದು ಅವ್ರು ಫಾರ್ವರ್ಡ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರ
ರಾವ್ ಸಾಹೇಬ್ ಮಾಡಿ.
He's a speaker, yeah. Okay.
He's sending it to you. You send it to him.
Yes sir,
You have his number,
I will
right?
send you. I will.
Okay.
Ashok Shetty. 1 minute. I'm going off. I'll just come back.
Okay. नमस्कार जी. आ गए ना?
Hello.
Hello, how are you, sir?
ನಂಗೆ ವಾಟ್ಸಪ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕನೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡೋದು ಸರ್.
Okay. You have sent the link to him, huh?
Yes sir, अभी भेज दे.
Very good. महावीर जी.
हाँ बोलिए.
यशवंत शर्मा जी नहीं आ पा रहा है.
कौन?
यशवंत शर्मा
नहीं आ रहा है?
भगवती वाले
नहीं आ रहा है क्या?
हाँ, अभी वो गुरु को फोन किया है कि मैं नहीं आ पाऊंगा करके, कुछ प्रॉब्लम है घर में, पता नहीं कुछ हो. एक बार फोन करो यार, क्या प्रॉब्लम है? आधा घंटा के लिए आने के लिए बोलो, 10 मिनट के लिए आने के, वो जो भी भाषण देना है दे के चला जाएगा. हाँ ना सर. और वीरमणि भी नहीं आ रहा है.
चलो ठीक है, फिर
आप
मैं बात करके बताता हूँ.
हाँ, बेस्ट रहेगा.
So all are participating now, sir. Hello.
Yeah. Today I think because Yashwant ji is not coming, Veeramani ji is not well, is not coming. So balance हम लोग है अपना. हिमांशु is there, आप है, और खंडोई साहब है, राठौड़ साहब है. And then
Hear me, Mr. Rao?
hello.
Mr. Rao, can you hear me?
Tanej ji, namaskar.
Yes. Namaskar. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay.
Oh, Anil ji. Good afternoon, Anil ji.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Fine.
Good. How are you, sir? So.
नमस्ते अनिल जी. नमस्ते.
नमस्कार. आप सुनाइए. हाँ, देखो क्या होता है. Complicated world.
Yes.
It's a very, very complicated. So,
Raj sir, I sent you the link in the WhatsApp. You can send.
किसका लिंक है ये?
No, ये किसी का भी link है. I will promote them to panelist.
Okay, in case of okay, I got it. Okay,
sir, यहाँ पर अजीत and राजीव.
No.
दो लोग हैं. So
they're all only what you call speak. What you call.
Okay. I got it.
Unless we tell you, don't promote them anybody. Okay.
Okay, sir. Done.
How is things in Spain, sir?
Well, the tourist season has begun and there are no tourists. So, if Spain lives on the basis of selling obscene amounts of alcohol in the months of July and August to tourists.
Oh.
But tomorrow onward, the flights are beginning from the European Union. They have identified 14 different countries within the Shenzhen area, and tourists can come now from there. Because actually, it sounds strange because in India it's very strong right now, the virus, and so is in USA. But in European Union right now, the virus is actually under control. Life is quite coming to normal.
Ji, namaskar.
So tomorrow onward, the flights are beginning. Let's see. How are you?
Happy Guru Purnima ji.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Same to you.
Yashwant Singh Saab, namaskar. Good afternoon. Good day.
मेरा हाथ डर जाता है, मैं हाथ से डर जाता हूँ.
Anyhow, you're looking nice, Yashwant Singh ji. You're looking nice. Okay. I think so. It's better we start the meeting right away. Why not? Yashwant Singh ji, please.
Right, sir. Let just Krishna Prasad. Let him. I'll call him up, Krishna Prasad ji, and we'll start, sir.
Okay.
Just 1 or 2 minutes, sir. Actually, we have given a time of 4 o'clock.
Yes.
There's still 5 minutes left, sir.
Yes, we'll wait for that. Let everybody come. वो यशवंत जी नहीं आ रहा सर, क्या हुआ साहब?
क्या जशवंत जी नहीं आ
उसका
रहे क्या?
फोन
अच्छा
उसका फोन नो रिप्लाई है.
किसी का कुछ हो गया घर पे. गुरु को फोन आया था.
No, Mr. Guru Shastribat just called me saying that be ready at 3:55.
Okay, yeah. अनिल जी आप
महावीर सिंह जी कंदोई जी को भी फोन कर लो.
करता हूँ. गुरु भी नहीं आया दिखता है.
They are still working in the background.
हाँ नमस्कार भाई साहब. 4 बजे है तो आपका वेट कर रहे हैं.
डॉक्टर राव, आप जो म्यूट एवरीवन एक्सेप्ट द स्पीकर्स.
ज्वाइन करो.
We'll do that.
हाँ
otherwise there will be disturbance.
आपको मेल में लिंक भेजा हुआ है उसी पे.
हिमांशु भी आ गया. Where is Himanshu on the line? नमस्कार जी.
ईयरफोन है तो सर लगाना है.
हाँ?
ईयरफोन
है क्या? मेरे पास तो नहीं है ना.
इसका सर कौन सा किस टाइप का ईयरफोन है?
मैं एप्पल का ये नहीं आता ना.
दिखाए इन लोग को दिखाई दे रहा है आप.
हेलो.
कंडो जी नमस्कार.
नमस्कार नमस्कार.
Sir, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir. You are late today.
No, I was online, which we were discussing, myself and Rao, and then just went out.
So now it's.
I think all speakers are there now except Himanshu.
Himanshu is there.
Is there?
He's there.
No, I can't see him.
You know, he hasn't come out to the.
No,
हिमांशु जी आपको आप दिख नहीं रहे यार.
Good morning, Rao. Good morning, President, and all the speakers.
Good evening, sir.
Evening.
Good evening, sir.
Yes, you woke up just now or what?
You must have taken your afternoon nap.
Guruji, you have to face some light, otherwise your face will be very dark.
Yeah.
Light thoda karo.
Himanshu is there. Himanshu, I can see his name.
I think he's just now joining.
ऊपर करो पूरा open करो.
हिमांशु आप वीडियो ऑन करो यार.
Is it okay, Prasad?
Sir, you're fine now. Guruji is okay.
हिमांशु जी वीडियो ऑन करो. I think I'll ask this.
Yes.
He is there. Himanshu. Himanshu is stuck up in Australia. He's still stuck up in Australia.
Oh.
I think another 3-4 months he'll be stuck there only.
Okay. Mr. Sharma and Mr. Veermani are not joining.
Yes.
What
Mr.
happened to
Ashwan
Mr.
Sharma is not able to join. Mr. Ashwan Sharma will not be able to join because somebody passed away.
Okay.
So he has to attend the funeral.
Veermani Saab is not well, so.
कुछ तबीयत खराब है, कुछ गिर गया था वो.
आपने तो धक्का नहीं दे दिया डॉक्टर राव, आपने तो धक्का नहीं दिया कि
नहीं सब मैं चेन्नई में नहीं हूँ.
टेलीपैथी से दे दिया और मैं.
No, he must have started contacting from 4 o'clock in the morning. He's got disturbed sleep.
He must have.
So let us start, sir, now.
4 o'clock, sir, exactly.
Okay. How many
we start?
The people are joining. They'll keep on joining, sir. Mera
Yeah.
remark like that by the time speakers come.
We have 23 participants right now. So, good evening, everybody, and welcome to the webinar, the fourth in the series of webinars that we have been conducting, starting from the lockdown. A warm welcome to all of you, and I will request President Saab to give his formal welcome address and also his impression on this.
Good evening, dear members. I welcome you all to this webinar, that is review of stone industry and trade in the context of current India-China relationship, a way forward. Today we are privileged to have Shri Anil Taneja from Spain, who will be giving his views on the above subject in relation with other European countries. I welcome you, sir. We are also having panel of experts from industry who are our very own FIGSI members and are representing various sectors of the industry and will give their views on the present scenario in the context of India-China relationship. I welcome Shri Mahavir Singh Ji Rathod, processing industry, Shri Himanshu Sehgal from the tool industry, Shri R.K. Kandoi Ji, processing sector and a very big exporter, Ashok Shetty Ji from tools and abrasives, Guru Shastri Math will be handling the questions. Unfortunately, today we cannot, Mr. Veeramani and Jashwant Sharma, who was from the machine manufacture sector, could not come. My colleague Shri Krishna Prasad Ji, General Secretary, and a very hyper moderator, Dr. C.H. Rao sir. Now, in our stone sector, this is my personal view, we have mainly three, you can call it three sectors of trade which are having business interest with China. The first is raw material. Many of in China was our biggest importer of raw material of granite and marble blocks. Now, if the government bans the export of the marble block, the mine owners will not suffer because India has a very shortage of blocks in India. the processing industry was running only 50%. And the processing industry was always complaining to FIGSI regarding shortage of raw material, and they wanted OGL in this sector. If the blocks to China are banned, you can say the processing industry will gain out of it, and the mine owners will not suffer much because they'll not get payment in dollars, but they'll start getting payment in rupees. The next sector is the manufacturing sector. This, I think the Indian manufacturers, there has been a hub in Ajmer. It is 130 kilometers from Jaipur, where there are approximately 15 to 20 machine manufacturers. And now for the last 2 years, I'm seeing hardly any Chinese block cutters and polishing lines are coming. All are being manufactured by India. Now, Indian machine manufacturers have almost come at par with the Italian companies also. They've started giving competition to Italian manufacturers also. The third, where I think we will suffer, that is the tools industry. Indian tool manufacturers are at present not at par with the Chinese company. We are still dependent on China. Indian industry is mainly dependent on tools and abrasives from China, which is very cost effective when compared to tools and abrasives of Indian origin or other countries. MSC sector, which are dependent on Chinese imports, are categorically mentioned that the cost of production will increase by 20 to 30% if imports from China is banned. Now, our panelists will individually give their inputs on the set subjects pertaining to particular sectors which they are operating. I welcome you all again to this webinar, and also I'm happy to inform that few more webinars are planned in the coming years. Thank you all. Now over to Krishna Prasad.
I request Dr. C.H. Rao to kindly give the perspective to the discussion topic, the data and the information on this topic. Over to Dr. C.H. Rao. Dr. Rao?
Yes, sir, I'm coming. Sir.
Yes.
Good evening, everybody. Today, I will set the context for the topic of the discussion with some relevant data and information to kickstart the discussion. We all know how intertwined and interdependent are both Asian economies. And today, the industry bodies and organizations like FIGSI and CII and others have told the Indian companies to look for alternatives other than China. These industry associations are making presentations to Indian government to impose duties on non-essential imports across sectors and asking government to reduce custom duties on plant and machineries from other countries like Japan, US, and Europe. The Ministry of Commerce asking them to send a list of imports from our neighbors. How self-reliant we are and how dependent we are in terms of our stone industry will be, and what is the way forward will be deliberated by esteemed panelists. We have decades of experience. I'll just go with some information I have on the overall global scenario and with reference to China. There are three main issues. One is the conflict with China and Chinese economic collapse. Second one is economic collapse. And third one is the onset of Cold War. And they are today's topics of discussion. A conflict between two highly populous nuclear-armed giants of Asia is worrisome. India is a democratic country. China is a semi-totalitarian political system. Systems are opaque. Information is painfully obscure. There's either no data or it is filtered by the state. There are five main issues with China. One is the trade and sanctions, human rights violations, handling of COVID-19, and Chinese misinformation and serious intent of imperialism. China's expansionist agenda, as we speak, China is having a border dispute with about 21 countries. It has almost paid $5 trillion to about 77 countries for various infrastructure developments. It is the second largest superpower with $14 trillion USD GDP. Now it wants to be number one, and therefore it's brewing a Cold War with USA, which is number one. The US-China trade, technology, and geopolitical conflicts have precipitated a new Cold War. The world two major powers are now wrestling for strategic advantage in an increasingly bitter contest for global leadership. China has started using strategic encircling against India. You know that it started giving money to India's neighbors like Nepal, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, in the name of development. Pakistan is already under Chinese debt. India did not even sign the part of Chinese Belt and Road Initiative. We were not the part of that. India walked out of Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership, RCEP. India is a part of quadrilateral security dialogue, the informal strategic forum between US, Japan, Australia. So let us look at some of the more global headlines what China is making. Hong Kong braces itself for Chinese aggression. US-Japan naval joint exercise is happening there in South Sea. Australia begins massive military buildup and budgeting. Philippines is challenging China in South China Sea. Asian countries are taking a position versus China's historical sea claims. China is entangled with border conflict with 21 countries as we speak. It's dominating the Eastern Mediterranean Sea. In Israel, Greece, Lebanon, Syria, it's creating, constructions. China is already managing the Greek port in Piraeus. China is upgrading Lebanese deep sea port. More than 100 million Chinese workers are in African continent and they have strategic connections with all the countries there and hold on a mineral wealth. Fundamentally, the world is moving to an uncertain security environment post-World War II, a global economic uncertainty post-Great Depression in the 1930s, a developing Cold War between number 1 and number 2. It's dragging every country into it. Let us just compare the figures with China. China is about, GDP figures are about 5 times than India. Industry size is about 5 times than India. These are the figures. I am rushing with you very fast. Chinese, India, and comparative figures. Industrial exports of China are about 8.5 times than India. Imports are about 3.6 times than China. China post Corona annual projections, international supply chain disruptions. See, this has happened. These are the latest figures from ADB between April and June, first week. You can see the SME presence in other sectors where I think we will fall in this other sector there where there's a huge expected loss. These are China figures. Similarly, the Indian figures, same situation is happening in India. These are the post-COVID figures in terms of millions of dollars. And the international supply chain disruption happening in China. Same thing is happening in India. See, Chinese industrial output is falling down. You can see from 2010 to 2020, there's a huge drop slowly. And then China set for milder slowdown. Of course, compared with other US, Eurozone, and Japan, China is still in a stronger position. You can see the top destinations of job creation. Here, India has a slightly better advantage compared to China. If you see the 2018 figures, there are again ADB figures, okay? Latest figures, India has a better advantage in terms of job creation. In compared to this, here we can say FDI investments, India is still there, number 10, whereas China occupies number 2. And this is some forecast of the situation here. The supply chain disruption happening in Asia, about $71 billion, which includes India and China, even the other Asian countries. Here, Indian major exports are towards Asia, actually 48. These are the figures in 14-15. The yellow resembles 18-19 figures. And here you can see among all the COVID infected countries, China is the largest import source for India. About 14%, almost about 14% we are exporting to China. You can see here the Chinese share of Indian exports and Chinese share of Indian imports. Here you can see our raw material imports from India to China to 10.03%. We fall, all our stones will be falling in that zone. Trade deficit is slowly coming down because our imports are low as we speak. From 2017 to 2019-20, trade deficit is slowly falling down. The global construction market, for understanding, market size in North America is about $2 trillion. Europe is about $2.8 trillion. Market size in Asia Pacific is $5.2 trillion. These are dimensions shown production, imports, and exports of USA. It's almost, you can see the figures there. The imports and exports both are shown here. These are the figures of import of granite and marble from China and India tops the rank actually. And it goes to mostly to USA. Imports to USA, these are the figures. The Brazil tops the chart, and then China, then comes India. And these are the top countries we're selling to, importing to, exporting to USA. And the reasons for the trade, there's a trade deficit is there, as we discussed. India exports, whereas China exports high technology finished goods. India exports only raw materials. Market access is huge problem for Indian companies. Government regulations in China hinder Indian companies for penetrating Chinese markets. India doesn't have in-depth knowledge of the Chinese market, or one party controls there. And whereas with the democracy, implementation takes time in India. Judicial overreach in India is threatening trade and businesses. We all know the many bottlenecks in infrastructure, labor laws, high cost of finances affecting the growth and manufacturing sector in India compared to China. These are the exporters and importers of granite in the world. And you can see the biggest granite and marble exporting companies. You can see India, China, and then Spain, Turkey, Italy, Brazil, of course. And let me push it to some of that. These are all data. I will be sharing it with everybody. The conclusions. Military hostilities at border naturally bring sugar rush of nationalism, but as business community, we need to think coolly. Globally, trade relations can act as an important restraint on conflict. Trade and businesses are biggest dampeners of broader conflicts historically. We must work towards further deepening our positive relations through trade, economics, and social links. Otherwise, the next fight will be still more serious. So decoupling or de-engagement from China is not only an easy task, it's also a long-run process. Long-term mantra is Atmanirbharata, as our PM speaks, that is what we will have to strive for, and institutions like FIGSI should work towards that. Thank you very much. This is my basic preliminary discussion, and I'll come back to you.
Thank you, Dr. Rao. And now, moving on, I'll request our Vice President Sri Mahavir Singh Ji Rathod, proprietor Rachna Stones, to kindly give his impressions. Mahavir Ji.
Prasad, before Mr. Rathod speak, I would like to request people to when speakers are after the.
Most of them are mute only. They're on mute only.
I request them to pose the questions, if anything.
Yeah, okay.
Online, yeah.
All right. Or we may also allow them to speak. I think since we don't have many speakers, we can allow one or two speakers also to come and put up their questions. Okay.
Ms. Rao, you take care of that.
Yeah, we'll come to that when we come to that.
Yeah.
Mahavir Singh Ji.
Switch off the voice and video, sir. Niranjan, his phone is off.
Yes, sir. He's on video.
He's online, but he's muted, I think.
No, it's unmuted now.
Mahavir Singh Ji.
Yeah, it's okay.
Okay. Good evening, friends. I want to highlight the facts on our industry after present Indo-China relations. As per my views, the dimension and decorative stone industry has four major parts. One is the granite, another marble, sandstone, limestone, slate, article and artifacts, including monuments. Our industry has four phases to produce final products. One is the raw material. So I elaborate one-to-one later on. Then consumable and processing machineries, final products, and sales. I go for individual phase. One is the raw material. Friends, we have the enough raw material of granite as well as marble, slate, and sandstone. But sometimes we required imported granites from different countries due to color wise. For example, like in Norway, blue pearl, some project we required to again re-export and some part of our domestic. So we want from government since last 5-10 years to open the OCL of granite blocks. We have lots of variety of granite, marble, sandstone, slate of our which some of products are available only in India, like Black Galaxy, Absolute Black, and Brown, Paradiso, Sivakasi Yellow, Ruby Reds, Jhansi Red, Green Marble, Fantasy Brown, Rainforest Green, Brown, so long list. Friends, these colors are only available in India, none of the other area in the world. So these above metals import China from to India, processed in China, and then re-export. Re-exports, he re-exports to CIS countries, Russia, Thailand, Vietnam, South Korea, and Middle East, and some part Europe also. And but this raw material is from India. Only they process it, and then if India government can ban the export to raw material blocks to China, then Indian companies will be more beneficial, and the industry will be more beneficial positions, because these countries, since last 2-3 months, 1 or 2 CIS countries buyers, they have before buying material from me, but like 10 Brown and Black Galaxy. Now the raw material scarcity in China, they again asking me. So it is better. So India position will be the always better in position if our industry, the ban, the mine, this box. But mining industry may be affected because China imports all variety of raw materials like substandard materials, also small size of blocks. Government can give some this incentives to compensate the mining industry, because in mining the China small size blocks as well as defective blocks, they buy only, because we are also Indian industry cannot buying this type of material, then a European cannot buy type of material. So government can some incentive, give the incentives. Again, second is the consumable and processing machineries. Hence, we import tools, abrasives from Indian company, but Indian companies can be compensated this. The manufacturing industry of tools and abrasive, they are the capable to do these things. Otherwise, by the way, some they cannot compare it. Though our production cost may be rise 4-5 rupees a square feet, say 40 to 50 rupees per square meter. This is hardly adjustable in our industry, because 4-5 rupees is nothing to adjust it. Whereas processing machineries, our Indian manufacturer of machine producing better machine now instead of China in granite processing as well as marble processing. But some machineries we are already import from Europe. So this is, I think, this is my view. The Chinese machinery is not a necessity of Indian in the industry. Third one is the product sale. Domestic market also very big in India, and I recommend to government, they can start infrastructure project in public sectors, and like airports, railway station, bus stand, like this type of big projects. So our industry can survive easily. We 4-5 rupees because we are losing. So our sale will increase here. Again, is the export market. India has a good opportunity to sell our product in Far East, CIS countries, Russia, Gulf region, because we have lots of variety of granite as well as marbles, sandstone, slates. Whereas these all 5-6 varieties, no one country have 5-6 variety and different popular varieties, sandstone and slates also. Because we have lots of monopoly colors also. We have market well boosted in future also. As far as I concerned, our decorative stone industry has no major effect on Indo-China present relationships. If India is in the better position always, and it will be good for us, because we have lots of popular variety of stones which are very popular all over the world already. So I concluded remark is, be positive, future is good, do not fight each other, market will rise and industry also rise. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mahavir Singh ji. Thank you for your views and your thoughts. Moving on, I will request Sri Anil Taneja, Director, litosonline.com, to kindly share your views, sir.
Good evening, everybody. Thanks to FIGSI for inviting me for this webinar. The world is actually quite complicated now, and it is becoming even more so. We are still in the middle of the crisis, but it's not over by no means, especially in India, but also in many parts of the world. But I think we have one more year left before we can think of being in a normal situation. It's not just getting the vaccine, it is manufacturing it, it is distributing it, it is vaccinating people. So it's, be prepared for that. Now, what I have seen is that the world is already becoming more protectionist. So Mahavir Singh is talking about asking the Indian government to ban goods. It really won't work, I'll tell you. In practical terms, it just doesn't work. You cannot expect to be in the future. We want to export here and there and everywhere, but please, we don't want people to import, because there has been so much of loss of wealth in this last 4 months that from now on, the priorities of every government in the world will be to support the local industry. And face it, natural stone is there in practically every country in the world. We are already saying this thing, buy local. This is going to be the new slogan, buy local. It is not just because my stones are better, they may or may not be. It is because I want to create employment for my people. It's my people, my country, my companies. And we need to watch out for that. Sometimes protectionism doesn't come only in the form of high import duties, simply blunt 100% duties or whatever. Protectionism comes in very different forms. Number one is a cultural phenomenon. As I said, I want to use local stones because I want to help my employment in my own country. That is a cultural thing, and you really cannot do much about it. Second thing is, they will ask you, what is the EPD of your stone? Environmental Product Declaration. It's already there in Europe. Architects ask for it. In public sector projects which are financed by EU, they already ask for it. I don't think even a single Indian company can even answer that question. And if you cannot even answer that question, forget about your stone being considered for a project, especially in the public sector. Incidentally, the Chinese stones, they all have the EPD, just for your information. So it's something that maybe the institutions in the stone industry, like FIGSI, like CDOS, etc., should try to get the environmental product declaration of Indian stones. That'll be one thing. We cannot avoid it. Carbon footprint. That's another way of measuring. That's another criteria that's coming up. Till now in North Europe, but also among architects in USA. What is the carbon footprint of your stone? Carbon footprint involves not just whatever it does to making the processing the stone, but also in transport. In a very indirect way, I suspect, because nobody says this, so it is a protectionism because once you have to ship something from a long distance, that shipping cost involves a certain amount of carbon footprint, and that is added to the particular stone. The carbon footprint of the stone per se, plus the shipping cost. You get the feeling they're trying to get China out of the market. It is one way of doing so. It will be directed towards China, but India could also get hit. So we need to be careful about that one. Then remember another thing, the world will be a lot poorer. Already because of the unprecedented magnitude of this crisis, the fiscal discipline is gone. I mean, $1 trillion here, $1 trillion there in USA is like nothing. I mean, in India, our prime minister is thinking whether we spend $20 billion or no, because we don't have it. We can't afford to print money. Our ratings go down. And if our investment rating goes down, investment goes out. But USA, $1 trillion already and another $1 trillion coming up. And the European Union is also thinking of a new stimulus of $750 billion. They're in the final stages. We don't know how it will be spent. But so the strong currencies are trying to bring some stability in their economy by printing huge amounts of money. What does this mean? It means, number one, the fiscal balances of all these countries have gone to the dogs. The debt as a percentage of GDP is going to be very high. This has a further consequence. Right now, we're in a stage of crisis, tremendous crisis. So fiscal discipline is there. But soon the time will come, once there is a certain amount of stability, let's say 2 years, 3 years, I don't know when governments will have to start reducing their debts, which means they will be spending less money. Now, where will be the priority be? Number one, the health system. This coronavirus has shown us that the health system need to be strengthened everywhere in the world, even in Europe, which I thought was the best in the world. Number two, pension systems. That has also been shaken up. Number three, universal basic income. It is becoming almost, its time has almost come, because there's going to be so much of unemployment no matter what, because of technological innovation, because of robots, because of the way the world is going, because globalization is becoming less and less, neither are we entering at 100% protectionism. So, there'll be much less money spent left for public sector projects. That's what I'm trying to say in the future. Governments will have less money than before. So will that mean less projects? I don't know. We will have to depend on private sector investment. And at this stage, it is impossible to even determine what kind of it will be. What I am seeing already now, for example, and I'll give you some short-term news, which is good. Because of this virus, people are traveling less. Well, they can't even travel if you're and Germans, for example, they're some of the biggest travelers in the world. Since this year, people are traveling less, maybe the tourism in countries, South Europe will be 30 to 50% of before. I'm talking about Spain, Italy, Greece, etc., etc. People are staying home. But the economy are solid in North Europe, not just Germany. So they are spending that money on home renovation. I'm already being told by a lot of Germans and other North Europeans. People are saying, okay, I'm not going to be spending 5,000, 10,000 euros on vacations. I'm going to be spending home. So they're spending more money on landscaping of the garden, renovation of swimming pool, terraces, for 30 months because of the prices, interior decoration, interior renovation had come to a halt because nobody wanted someone from outside to be coming inside, but that is also starting. So there'll be a short-term boost this year to tourism, to home renovation, which is good for our industry, which is actually good for our industry, and especially the Indian stone industry doesn't really depend so much on projects. It depends more on decoration. So that's just one positive sign. But in the medium term, there's another trend which could be positive, but it's impossible to say so. Because of the crisis, home working has become a new trend. Not all of it will be back to what it was before, but home working is probably a new trend for the next few years. People are realizing that they can get as productive as before working from home. There are many other management challenges, how you control, etc., but let's not get into all that. That's not important. The important is, once in a home, you have bedroom, you have a kitchen, you have a bathroom, and you have a living room. It is quite possible, I would even say, probably, one group working.
Your voice is breaking.
Hello?
Anilji?
Hello?
The voice is breaking.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, can you come closer or something? Yeah.
Yeah. Because, so we will probably see home renovation, not just because of less tourism, but also because of a new macro tendency that is taking place in the world. That's also positive for us. But looking forward, I come back to what I said last time. We need to innovate more. We need to do much more innovation in finishes, in textures, in new applications. And we need to, because otherwise it's commoditization. Commoditization only means one thing. The price is less, margins are less and less. It stops becoming profitable for everyone. And it happens in every single industry. And we don't really innovate as much as we should be. We have the skills in India. We really have the skills, which is not there in many countries, but we may not making use of it. More design, but modern design, not Indian design, but if you want to export for local market, fine. But we need to really incorporate modern design and use the modern machinery that already are there. There's a lot of CNC machines. To incorporate design in everything that we make. That is one way of adding value. So these are the things. More innovation in terms of new textures, incorporating more design, and also new products, new applications. I mean, there's so much that can be done. And India is actually the perfect place to do it. We have 1,000 military skills that's there. And that's not there existing in the West as much as before. So we have a lot of things. So I would say then there's another thing. Because I said the world is going to be becoming more protectionist, I think we should pay more emphasis and start to say on the local market also. We need to teach out more to architects, to interior designers, to educate them. We need to educate our own people on so many things. So we have a lot of challenges. It's not just the Indo-China issue, which I hope will be sorted out very fast. The politics will always be there. China is a rival, but it's also it's a competitor, but it's also a collaborator. It's a win-win situation if we do it right. That depends on the politicians, it depends on the diplomats, it doesn't depend on us. So there are two sides to it, and there are a lot of things we don't know. But I think we really need to change the direction of our industry and do some out-of-the-box thinking in many ways. That's what I want to do. Thank you.
Sir, I just want to have a small comment to make. As I completely endorse what Anil Taneja has just said about in order to survive the global competition, India, we need to understand the concepts of circular economy, environmental product declaration, the EPDs, and it's an auditing process, and then carbon footprint understanding. These are very, very important concepts that are driving the global exports or imports. Now, I think FIGSI has to create a workshop to make everybody understand the concepts of these. I hope Anil ji will also help us.
You need to have, you need to work with some technical people and
yes,
hire some consultants to do these things. It's
Absolutely.
not for the ordinary people. Very difficult for us to understand also.
Yes.
So first get some right people who know these matters, do it, and then explain. But
Yes,
that
exactly.
Should be
We'll work on this.
We'll
work on that. Krishna ji.
Haji, thank you.
We need to work on these concepts a little later. Yeah.
All right, sir. All right. We'll work on that. Thank you, Mr. Taneja. Thank you for your nice words, sir. We'll move on, and now I request Sri Ashok Shetty, partner Petra Exim, to kindly elaborate his views. Kindly unmute yourself, sir, first. Unmute, Madi.
Unmute, okay.
Yes, we can hear you now. No. Audio is not coming. Mr. Ashok. You have to unmute yourself.
Done it.
Yes. Once again gone.
Okay. Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
First and foremost is whatever good evening to the president and all the members and the people who are in this group discussion. And I think so this discussion is very good and should be very healthy and we should be able to take forward the views and the opinions expressed today. Particularly, I really agree with the opinions expressed by Mr. Anil Taneja, because what he is saying is practical and workable and applicable. See, I'm a nationalist, and at this juncture, whatever the Indian government says, I agree to it, and I do support it. But at the same time, we have to be very, very practical about how to go forward. Going forward, we have to go for good amount of lessons, what we learn from this experience, what we are experiencing at the moment, as to this is a good thing which will show us the direction where we should be in future. Because this, even though today or tomorrow there might be some get together between the Indian government and the Chinese government, and some sort of a truce might be there, but you can always expect it to happen once again. And we have to be prepared in all spheres of the processing, whether it's the rough block export, whether it's the consumables, whether it's the processing, whether it's the machinery, particularly the quartz people and some of the the granite people who are struck very badly at the moment, very, very badly at the moment. Coming to the rough blocks, I feel now it is high time FIGSI takes a very, very proactive and ensures that all this government leases and government instruments which needs to be attacked, they should be attacked in all sincerity, Take it from me. At the moment, our industry is suffering a lot due to the rough blocks, particularly if you see the Hosur industry is really struggling and there is no connection with the Chinese. But at the same time, now because of the crisis, good amount of Chinese will be out of the international market. It is the Indians who should really make a genuine entry into the space which the Chinese are giving to us by de facto. And there is one more thing I would always say and vouch for what Mr. Anil Taneja says. The rough block exports immediately, if it is done, there are a lot of quarry owners who will be hurt badly, not with the good material. It is with the not so good material. In granite, there is nothing, in stone, there is nothing so called as bad material. It is only the very good, the good, and not so good. And the not so good material, it is not at all taken in the local market, and they need to find a market, and the only market they get is the China. That is for the not so good material. And the rough blocks, people, particularly in the black, the smaller blocks in black, there is zero market in the local market for the high-end black. It was earlier, it was Japan. Now the entire Japanese process has gone to China, and from India it goes to China and onward to Japan. Now, only way it can be done is the Indian processing should make a headway and get into and ensure that India processes it and sends it directly to Japan or any other countries. So as such, for the moment, thinking of rough block exports, we will go in the same way the Saudis went. Saudis totally banned the export of rough blocks about a few years back. Particularly their number one selling material, that's the Najran brown, which was the number one market for that was the Chinese, number two were the Indians, and the number three were the Italians. When they stopped the rough block exports, take it from me, within 2 years, Najran brown, which used to be produced, they used to produce every month 30,000 cubic meters of Najran brown. Today, it is only about 1,000 cubic meters is being produced, because marketing was one thing which the Saudis never did, and they were not accomplished. They were only used to the local market. Anyhow, that's another story. The rough block people will tell. I'm not the person to talk about it. I am a person, when it comes to the processing, I would say is, now is the time when the industry should look into in depth. That is to go into innovations. It is not only cutting, polishing. Now it should be from polishing to finishing, finer finishing, and applicability. And over here, once again, I will ask FIGSI to re-enter into this conversation, because Today in India, we have only two materials where we can get into large projects. One is tan brown and another is Kashmir white. Kashmir white is gone with the wind. It is gone away. It is not there due to government issues. There FIGSI should work into it because there's a lot of material available. And in future, the Indian granite industry, the stone industry should look into this kind of innovations, project works. This is where we have to be. Otherwise, what will happen is we'll be working like dogs without any final realizations. We should have a better future. And for this, we should really look into pushing the government to ensure that there is a crisis which is going on from last 3 months due to COVID. There is a loss of nearly about 30 to 40% of the market. And this is the time there is a lot of industry support is required from the government through the bank support, financial support, through the rough block support, where all the quarries are all stuck. There, it should be ensured that they're opened up, availability of raw materials there, and there's new market which there's a void because of the Chinese absence that you have to enter. And as such, on consumable point, China is there a major player in the cutting industry, but in the other industry, I think so India needn't to worry so much as I see, because China were doing a lot of this segments which were really cheap. Now there are some Indian companies who are really working and coming out with some really cheap and good products. But these sort of issues, they are all temporary and it can be overcome. The other part where the industry should really look into is we need to work. We need to work. Only if we work, for working, we need the raw material. You require the market. That is one place where the FIGSI should really push the government as well as support the industry in whatever fashion is possible. I finish with this. Thank you so very much.
Thank you, Ashok Shetty. We understand some of the views. It's about setting the mines and minerals and policies rightly. And FIGSI is already playing a very important role there. And filling the gaps of what China is leaving for us to do, and rethinking about the not so good materials in the industry and finding new market for them, and the processing and seeing a more value addition to the processing and looking innovation, and then FIGSI to take care of all these issues. We have been doing it. Thank you very much, Ashokji. Next.
Thank you. Thank you, Ashokji.
Okay, bye. Bye, Prasad.
I now request Shri R.K. Kandoi, Managing Director, Rashi Granites Private Limited, to kindly present his views. Kandoi ji.
Is there?
Hello.
There. Kandoi ji, please.
Can you hear me?
Please go ahead.
Yes.
Yeah, we can hear you.
First
Please
of all, I must thank you, the committee, to give me this excellent opportunity to be part of this webinar. Good evening to all.
Good evening.
Let me tell you, I read somewhere, nothing lasts forever, not even trouble. Well, we are now standing at a point where you all know the granite industry and this marble industry, we are at doldrums. But as all the other speakers, Mr. Ashok Shetty very well said that quarries must be started. We are into manufacturing and processing. Let me tell you, our problem today is idle capacity. Today, if you see China, we go for projects. China will talk of 5 to 10 containers per day. we hesitatingly agree for 2 containers per day. We don't have enough capacity. Whatever capacity is there is not utilized properly. The state governments in India, particularly South Indian state governments, are giving everything free. Free food, free motorcycle, free TV, free laptop. Why should people work here? We get the workers from 2,000, 3,000 kilometers away. We train them and suddenly they disappear to their natives. This is one point we have been talking to FIGSI for skill development. We should look into that. The second is, yesterday I was the part of this ECGC webinar where Deputy Managing Director Mr. Venkat Nageswar was there. He was talking that all the exporters, irrespective of their order and size, must book forward. Once they get the order, they must book the exchange forward, let's say for 6 months or 1 year, depending on their project size. And with the 4% forward premium and the interest subsidy, they will be paying nothing, sometimes in minus. So we should look into that. We should check with our banks. Coming back to the processing, we need the help of FIGSI to develop the support industry in India, particularly tools. As Mr. Sethi said, that okay, Chinese quality may not be so good, but quantity is available. Today, the amount of the quantity required in India, I don't think that even 10% can be supplied by the Indian tool suppliers. That is the problem. So we need to have volumes of the tools, particularly, let's say, diamond wire. Today, multi-wire industry is there to stay, and that is the future. So getting the multi-wires, diamond wires, unless China supplies, it is very difficult to source the wires only from 1 or 2 European suppliers. They are not in a position to feed the Indian industry. So we must find a alternate source in India. And when there is a high volume processing, the cost will automatically come down. So let us not worry about the initial high cost of the tools. The cost of the tool will come down only once we have developed this industry in India. Second thing is, which is of course a policy decision, I am of the firm view that blocks export must be banned, whether it is not so good block or good block, because once the blocks are banned, then only the industry will develop here. Today, for your information, we are exporting Black Galaxy from Ongole at $12 a square meter, which is less than the sandstone price. So what is being used? Not so good blocks or the bad blocks are being used. So we have capacity to utilize everything in India as long as the availability should be there. Once the raw material export is banned, we will have wide open market. Even today, China is competing India for the Indian material. Indian material like Black Galaxy, say 10 brown, they are exporting to the projects where we are finding it difficult to match their prices. So my request will be that FIGSI should work on this, that export of the blocks must be banned. Our quarry friends, they will have enough market in India. As someone said that they may not get in dollars, but they will definitely get in the good amount of rupees. So my request to FIGSI will be to look at skill development, look at the interest subsidy, which I understand some other sectors like textile and all that, they get interest subsidy. We should look into that. Development of the tool industry in India, opening of all the quarries, and of course the major policy decision of banning the export of raw material. That's all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kandaji. You touch upon the aspect of skill development. Our president, FIGSI, and our EC committee are already working on the skill development council. We are working on those lines. And you spoke about volumes of the tools and interest subsidies and the ban on the export of raw blocks. That's a very contentious issue. Many of the quarries are dependent on direct export of blocks. So that may not be feasible, but availability of, you must think about availability of raw blocks to Indian processing industry. That's a very important aspect. We should work on that. Thank you for your nice words, Kandoji.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Kandoji. Thank you once again for your views. And now request Himanshu Saigal. Managing Partner, Stone Age International, to kindly give his views.
Yeah, good
Himanshu ji?
evening, everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, good evening. Can you all hear me?
Yes, yes. Please go ahead.
Yeah. I heard all the eminent speakers who have given their views, and being from the diamond tool background, I would like to speak on the diamond tool industry because diamond tool has been picked up by many speakers. You see, Indian diamond tools has basically been bleeding for the last 15, 17 years for the reason that cheap diamond tools have been importing from China because of the way that it has been imported. We have never seen Chinese tools being imported in India with proper custom duties. Either they are coming in kgs, which we have never heard as a diamond tool manufacturers, or they are coming with under invoicing, which everybody knows. And either they are being sold during the exhibitions, whenever, whether it's in Jaipur or in Bangalore, or other improper imports. We as diamond tool manufacturers, we are competent enough to match any diamond tool industry throughout the world. As it's said that if you go back to in the year 1990s or 2000, when the gangster segment used to be 200 rupees, because of the Indian diamond tool technology, today these gangster segments are available for 35, 40 rupees, whereby bringing the cost of production immensely on the marble processing units. The query wires, which used to be sold for about 2 lakh rupees for a 50-meter wire, way back about 15, 20 years back, now it's available for about 35 to 40,000 or 45,000 for a 50-meter wire. This is all due to the technical expertise of the Indian diamond tools, and this has nothing to do with the Chinese. So it would be wrong to say that the Indian diamond tools are anywhere behind anyone in the world. The fact is that even today, the Chinese tools are coming either under invoice. That's why the end user finds it cheaper, or it is coming in kgs. There is no price fixation at the customs. So my suggestions are that, as Mr. Kandoi said, Mr. Shetty said, that we should encourage the Indian diamond tool industry. Yes, we should surely encourage, because there is no lack of expertise in the Indian diamond tool industry. Through FIGSI, we should, in our publication, encourage the purchase of Indian diamond tools to his members. And we should make the campaign of Make in India. This should be the foremost thing, because Indian diamond tool industry is at all not far behind from the Chinese. We are, if not better, at par with the best of the Chinese products. Today, we are able to compete in multi segments. We are able to compete in the single block cutters. We are doing much better in the edge cutting blades. As Mr. Kandoi said, that for the multi-wire, yes, I agree that for the multi-wire, we may not have reached those levels, because when it is a Chinese company coming in India for trials, if it's an Italian company or any other European company, the end user will encourage him and allow him to do all the trials. They will not refuse them. When it comes to the Indian diamond tool industry, and we tell them, okay, we want to put 5 wires in your multi-wire, please give us an opportunity, they will never allow. They will say, no, we are not interested. We don't want to waste our time. So it's, as I said, it's basically a mindset that Indian diamond tool people are not competent. So I request even FIGSI that, we should have a skill development for the diamond tools. We should have an R&D center. We should have a budget for the Indian diamond tools. We should have a publication in our journals. We should, or other ways that we should encourage Indian diamond tools to be used, and we should avoid the use of the imported diamond tools. It's not because we are below par. We are equal at par. There have been people who are using Indian diamond tools even for multi and block cutters, and they are not people who are having any losses. They are using it and they are getting the same results. If a 5-blade multi-segment is giving 7,000 or 8,000 square feet in south or in north, even Indian diamond tools are able to do in the multi-wire, in multi-segments. So my request is that we should encourage the Indian diamond tools. FIGSI should have a budget for having skill development for R&D centers. We should change the mindset. We should allow made in India concept. And I'm sure that Indian diamond tool industry is not at all far from anybody in the world. We are much better because we are the people, we are there, and we always give them comfort. If there's a problem, we can always be there. Chinese, we do not know. If there's a problem, they will never hear you. We are there, we are giving comfort to them. Even at the night, even if they have any problem in the night, we are there to answer them. We are accountable to everybody. And if you see today, the manufacturing of Indian diamond tools is less than as compared to the imports, because everybody feels that the Indian diamond tool cannot match. Now the times have changed, and I request FIGSI, I request our president, I request our secretary to please make a propaganda for the Indian diamond tool industry. Tell all the members, tell all the people who are in our league to use made in India tools. This will give us a very good opportunity, and the dependence of the Chinese tools will go down. We are unnecessarily sending all our valuable foreign exchange to China, and we are allowing them to use and capture the Indian market. Thank you very much.
Himanshuji, thank you very much. You spoke about how Chinese goods are shipping into the Indian industry, Indian consumer, reaching the Indian customers, and R&D, importance of R&D and skill development and publications, and more reliance on Indian goods. But the major question is, what about the raw materials of the tools?
Right now, Mr. Rao, the raw material, some of the raw materials we are getting made in, like we used to get machines from Germany from Dr. Fritz. Now these machines are made in India, in Bangalore. We have enough manufacturers in India who are making the Indian machines. We also have raw material manufacturers in India. We will try and get our dependence on diamond is there from China. We get our diamonds from China, but we also have raw materials from Europe. We can buy our diamonds from Europe. As Mr. Rathod said, that it is very minimal cost of the diamond tools manufacturing when you come to the sale price or manufacturing price. So if the industry is able to support the minimal increase in the cost, I don't think so we should be dependent on China for even our diamonds or any other raw materials. Like all our cobalt, all of the powders come from Europe, or we even have Indian manufacturers who are making these powders. Only for diamond, we look at China. So other way is that if we have, the fixation of price on the import of segments, and the diamonds are coming as they are coming today in a proper import way, there should be no way that we cannot compete with China. Because why we fail is because the Chinese product come in under invoice, or they come in kgs. I don't think so anybody in the panel here would have bought diamond tools in kgs. They are in numbers. So we should see that this does not happen. If this practice continues and we allow our diamond powder also from Europe, and there's a slight increase in the price, I don't think so there's any problem in the industry to take it.
Thank you, Nikhilji.
Yeah, I think before we go on to the question and answers, would you like to sort of summarize the whole thing, Dr. Rao, before we go on, or you'll do it later?
Mr. Prasad and Rao,
any questions, Guruji?
Let us ask all the speakers to whatever they have presented to send it to our FIGSI by mail.
Yes.
All their presentations.
You are recording everything, sir.
Yes, they'll do it. Guruji, any questions? Any this thing from the participant?
Yeah. Questions.
Please take it up one by one. You can read out the question. Then we'll see who can answer that.
Mr. Maheshan from Devinarayan Export, the president of Tamil Nadu Association, is asking the impending orders should be inspected pre-shipment where mandate given to Chinese importers to their Indian representatives who should be facilitated to travel with SOP. FIGSI to provide composite transit pass to these Indian representatives to complete inspection.
Actually, he had requested us by sending a mail, and we have written to the concerned state governments. I think Tamil Nadu has done it, Andhra has done it, and we in Karnataka also we have done it. But I think because of a lot of restrictions in each state, as on today, we still don't have such permissions. Everywhere you go, you will be quarantined 14 days. So I don't think you will be able to do your work that way. So I think we need to wait for some more time before the situation improves. That's what is my understanding. Any other questions, sir?
Mr. Maheshan, you want to ask anything?
No, actually, good evening, everybody.
Good evening. Nice to meet you.
Yeah. So, see, the thing is that we have, you know very well that we have lot of these inspection agents in Tamil Nadu and Karnataka.
Yeah.
So these people have been nominated to the Chinese people, and the shipment. See, I don't find any reduction in exports in respect of China. The demand is still there for Karnataka material as well as Tamil Nadu material as well as Andhra material. But only thing is these principals are not able to travel. So they are asking the Indian representatives to go around and inspect the cargo pre-shipment. This is becoming a big menace now because this everything is getting held up there. So invariably it is taking a chain reaction. It's a chain reaction now. So that's the reason we are requesting the FIGSI to put some pressure in whichever way possible to ease out this issue, because this is very important actually.
As per your request, we have already written letters to the CM, Mr. Mahesh.
Yeah.
But I think the situation both in Bangalore as well as in Tamil Nadu and Hyderabad, all three states, I think situation is pretty bad.
Okay.
Therefore, the governments are not giving such kind of temporary permit or pass or anything like that.
We have to take through concerned states only. I think individual.
No, every state has to give.
Every
The
state has to
where you travel to and again you come back.
And then one more final, I want to just present one matter. Kindly don't subscribe to this block banning business, because we did enough in the past and it was a failure. Now, until the consistency is gained, I'm not telling it to be banned. See, many quarries are financed with government institutions, the banks and all that. So this banning business will create a lot of contagious problems.
No, we understand.
We will try to get the policies in place. We are also from state side, we are asking so many regularizations and all that. We need your support also. We will write to you. If you support us, we will also take it forward. Nothing to worry.
And one more question.
I think that whenever there is a shortage of blocks, this keeps coming up. But I think we need to have a free market, both exports and import. That's why we are also trying for import of blocks, so that we have a free export as well as import, so that the processing industries do not suffer.
That should be good, sir.
That's what we are looking at. That's what we have requested the central government also. I think that is the only way forward.
And one
more actually, Mr. Krishna Prasad, FIGSI is doing a great job. Thanks for your lot of efforts, and thank you.
Thanks to our president. He was the idea behind this was mooted by the president. We had a series of these webinars during the lockdown. We started. It's going on, and we plan to continue it regularly to have regular interactions.
We need continued support from Tamil Nadu, sir.
We are there, sir. Always with
FIGSI, sir. They're always there.
And
Dr. Rao,
from him only. The Chinese companies, Prasad, one more question, two more questions are there from him only.
Yeah, please.
The Chinese companies are giving long DP terms to their other global buyers, which we cannot do. We cannot, due to our interest rate and credit structure, can raise the issues to government to get full convertibility of business on long term.
Okay. Yes, I think we have written this to both the
we have already written this. We have already
finance minister. In fact, I'm happy to announce that in the coming weeks we are going to have a interaction with the Union Finance Minister for State, Mr. Anurag Thakur.
And Mines Minister also.
Later. Yeah, and also with the Mines Minister, Shri Prahlad Joshi, and also with the MSME Minister, Mr. Nitin Gadkari, very shortly.
And again,
take up all the issues.
And again, one more question from him only. The dearth of raw material is attributed to highly inconsistent policies of mineral administration and inconsistent policies and unnecessary coercive proceedings under the pretext of violation of environmental laws, etc., which is crippling quarrying industry.
Yes, we are aware of all this. FIGSI is fully working on all these issues. I think we definitely assure you that we continue to take up these issues on a continuous basis.
And
Dr. Rao,
they are also requesting, Rao, one more thing. They are also requesting FIGSI to have a data analytics on overall global perspective.
Overall?
Perspective, analytical perspective.
Capexel has it, sir. Capexel is doing it, sir.
Capexel is doing it, sir. I don't know whether Capexel is up to date.
So we'll also try it, sir. We'll outsource it, sir. We'll outsource to some agency, sir.
Yeah.
Yes. Any more, sir? Any more questions?
Nothing, sir. That's all.
May I speak,
Over.
sir? I'm Dr. Rajgopal.
Yes, Mr. Ram.
Yes, sir. Yes, Dr. Rajgopal, please, sir.
See, good evening, everybody. And with regard to just now somebody talked about environmental issues, my point here is we must somehow impress upon the environmental ministry, instead of getting clearances for each project, you can these are the implementations you have to follow. As far as granite mining is concerned, I don't think it is causing much environmental degradations, and therefore you must have a comprehensive policy and convince environmental ministry to see that a project clearance is given. Suppose you can go for granite mining or you don't go for granite mining, that's all. No need to have individual mining clearances. What for individual mining clearances are required? You put up all restrictions that for each village you must have a minimum distance of so much, say 1 kilometer, 2 kilometers, like that. Say for everything, even for interior areas where your mining is about 20-30 kilometers deep area, where is the need for getting environmental clearance? That is my concern. And second point is this, as far as garnet is, you can also try to, our researchers must plan for whether garnet can be used in place of diamond powder, so that garnet is also, the hardness is 9. And if you can mix, you can use garnet. Of course, it may be consuming more, but even then we must do some research activities. And my contribution is with regard to this environmental and this usage of garnet powder instead of diamond powder. Thank you very much.
Sir, Rajgopal ji.
Yes.
Sir, FIGSI is actually working on various environmental issues, and not only with the ministry. We went to the Supreme Court also against the NGT order. And because of the corona and all that, we could not get the order. But we are very certain that in a couple of months, we're going to get a very positive order based on the Tuticorin judgment. So most probably that the environmental clearance will be up to 25 hectares. There won't be any need of any public hearing till 25 hectares. So that's one thing. And with regard to separate entity, we are also working on this a policy issue on a separate entity for granite and other natural stones in the mineral indexing. So we are planning that, sir. Shortly, we are coming with one more discussion point on that. How granite and other natural stones in India should not go through other, should not be compared with other minor minerals like your sand and aggregates and clay. So we need to have a separate entity, separate mineral categorization for a small, very smoother clearances. This is what we are working on, those things, sir. Your idea.
One more point, Rao Garu. This Supreme Court judgment on penalties with regard to cost of material for those cases where you have operated without environmental clearance from 2020, that is 2000 onwards, that is going to totally damage the industry. And there is already Supreme Court direction, unless state governments pressurizes the central government to file a review petition, there is no other go, because it is a Supreme Court order. And now fortunately you are getting some time, but ultimately for those cases where above 5 hectares cases, you have to pay entire cost of material right from 2020. I don't think you have properly concentrated on this point.
Sir, it was, you are talking about common cause judgment of Orissa. We actually, the Telangana government and Andhra government has written to the ministries. They are trying to de-link with the minor minerals and all that. But we even in FIGSI also, we wanted to legally go there and to review on the common cause judgment. But right now we are working on the environmental issues. We are planning that also, sir. Yeah, it's an important issue you raised.
Dr. Rao, and then we'll move on to.
Sir.
Price the whole thing.
Sir, yeah.
Thank you, Raghu.
I thank everybody. All the panelists have, especially the environmental concepts and the understanding of the circular economy and EPDs raised by Mr. Anil Taneja is very important. That's going to be a major issue for exporting to Europe and other countries. And we need to, as an association and as individuals, we have to work on those understanding those concepts and try to, internalize them. And secondly is the other members have spoken about setting the mineral policies right, where FIGSI is working and other very seriously. Recently, you got one fantastic policy thing in Karnataka because of the FIGSI's intervention only. And he spoke about material tools, self-realization, R&D, skill development. They're all the issues FIGSI is working seriously. Because of the COVID, we could not seriously work on the skill development matters. Ishwendraji is very, very seriously working on those lines. He wanted to, we spoke to Andhra Skill Development Council also. The work is on, its work is on. And I thank everybody for this discussion. I think as Anilji has suggested in the last discussion, he wanted to have this kind of discussion, especially on the India-China relations and developing situation. Maybe it's a series of discussions on this instead of we are talking today, maybe after a couple of weeks or after a month, things might change. So we need to reassess those situations again. Anilji, would you want to say something about that?
Mr. Rao, you have some time to, Mr. Ashokan has some points to talk. You have time?
Let me speak to Anilji. Yeah.
Well, what we are all seeing, I think, is a very volatile world. The situation is changing week by week. You know, for example, I'll give you just an example I could have mentioned, and I think it's interesting for all of you to know. As of last week in Brazil, the bee exporters.
Anilji, a little louder.
As of last week, the exporters in Brazil are selling almost as much to USA as they were before the virus. Any company, for example, that was selling 100 containers a month is now selling 90 or 95. Those who were selling 200 containers per month are selling 180. Even in Spain, I was surprised, but actually every single person is busy right now. Now, things could change dramatically very fast. If there is if the virus spreads very fast, as it already is in Florida, Texas, Georgia, California, maybe there will be a slowdown in US market again, or even in Europe after we are now in the holiday season where people drink like anything and anything will happen. So you're right, the situation is so volatile that you need to, this was an industry that nothing changed for years. And now, yes, I'm finding that every single week I'm outdated. I need to speak to people all the time. So you need to have some kind of a mechanism for being up to date, the industry up to date worldwide. It will be useful because at the end of the day, the market helps. Second suggestion, we have been talking about mining issues, and to me, to be honest, this is a great learning experience. I have to admit that. Can we have one day a future seminar where we get one person who's an expert on mining issues and mining policies, someone from Brazil, one person from Scandinavian countries, they have their own mining policies, maybe some from South Europe, perhaps, and have some kind of a exchange of information. 4 or 5 people, what are the mining policies in your country? What are the issues? How does the government support you? What is environmental clearance like issues? How fast it is done, or whether it's not done, etc., etc. We are a big country. We have everything is a state, so we have regional policies. But I think it will be very useful for everyone if we have people from 3 or 4 countries one day explaining to you what their policies are, what their problems are, because mining problems are actually there everywhere in the world. To be honest, they really are everywhere in the world, and in every single industry, not just natural stone. It will be, I think, enriching. It will be enriching for us to hear other people also talk about.
Yes, absolutely.
That's a suggestion for the future for you to consider. But it won't be on a Sunday. Only Indians have webinars on Sundays. Maybe Saturday. I don't know. Not in summer. No one.
Ashokanji.
Hello.
Ashokan, can you speak?
Am I audible? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, you are audible.
Sir, I want to make 2 or 3 points, very quick points. See, this is mainly pertaining to monument exports to Europe. Maybe these points can also be relevant to the Chinese imports into India. As you know very well, Dr. Rao made a fantastic presentation. See, India imports from China approximately 550,000 lakhs of the goods. The 74 billion US dollar is the imports, and the export is 17 billion, leaving 56 billion shortfall. See, my point is very simple. Monument, even though it is coming as in discretionary buying, right now we are very strong in Europe in export of monuments. But what I find the difference between Indian exports and the Chinese exports in 2 or 3 areas. Point number 1, if a European buyer is placing an order with a Chinese company, he can place orders in any color. Out of a 22-ton container, he can even place an order for a foreign material for 500 kgs, half a ton. But how Chinese processing companies could do this? Because you see, if he is placing the same order with me, I let import the material one container of maybe around 8 cubic meter. Whereas how he could place only 300 kgs, 500 kgs with a Chinese exporter? Because this gives a big advantage for the European importer. For different material, they need not go to different supplier. This is not possible in India. In India, he gives for Indian material and some foreign material also. See, 25 to 30% of foreign metal processed right now is with what we process is from imported. Now, the Chinese way of working, they fight in a target market. Each company fight individually. When they process collectively. That means, see, everybody is not importing the same material. They import, different companies import different material. They exchange among themselves, whereby they are bringing down the inventory cost. And there are also huge stockwares where they can go and then get only one plate. They need not buy a block. They can get only one plate, process that order. That gives a big advantage because nowadays controlling inventory is very important. Because now what has happened in this case, because of COVID, we let increase our inventory. Already 25 to 30%, we are importing material and processing. That means, you see, we let to have a stock, huge stock. Again, because of shortages of material, when we go to the quarry, we let to mark to the maximum. So this is a big advantage I find with the Chinese. The second is they are dropping the price because of scaling. The more they produce, the unit cost is divided. So the scaling is very important. They produce more, they bring down the cost. The third thing is not in our hand. As you know very well, the Chinese currency is pegged to dollar, whereas Indian currency is a managed float. So this is not in our hand. This is a government. Everybody knows this. It's a state controlled currency. The other point I want to mention is the delivery time. See, we nowadays we are bringing now if I get an order, I take the container into a European port between 8 and 10 weeks, whereas around 10 weeks. Because you see, nowadays the sailing time is also much longer because of the vessel problem. Whereas Chinese can bring his cargo within 6 weeks, whereby he can get more orders. See, if I am going to take 5 times orders from the buyer, he can take maybe 6 or 7 times, where he increases his business. His delivery time is very, very important because he shortened the time. He is having more material, he is having more people to produce. Because he produce more, he bring down the cost. Another important thing I found out, many companies I visit, I have seen Chinese packing. The packing is always excellent. We use a country wood, they use a treated wood, and the labeling on the packing. So these are all the major difference I find with Chinese, because the inventory, we can also, as an Indian company, every company need not to import every material. We can also have a system where we can exchange material, because this is the strategy they adapt. They fight in an overseas market individually, they produce collectively, which is not happening here. So in spite of all these things, European buyers, they love Indian suppliers because of our quality and integrity and dependability. That is why in monument business, even though they are ready to pay 5 to 10% more. They come to us because of our quality. But we could not take many orders nowadays because of our delivery time, long delivery time. How to shorten the time, and they are having many advantage on the currency. They can move the container faster to the port. Whereas in the last meeting also, I expressed this point with the Honorable Minister that when I get a Form 13 clearance from the export-oriented unit, why my container has to go to CFS, then again go to the port? I lose a lot of time in connection. So Costco, you know, Costco is a Chinese, the sailing is much better. So these are all the advantages they have, but we have the advantage of quality and the dependability. Thank you.
Keshavmurthy want to speak.
Who?
Keshav.
Keshav wants to speak. Okay.
Yeah, Keshavji can speak.
2 minutes.
Yeah.
Make it fast, sir.
Hello.
Yeah, yeah.
Keshav, please, please.
Good evening, Mr. President and all the office bearers. Thank you for this opportunity. Present, all the panelists have spoken very nicely regarding Indo-China Association of raw material, machinery, tools, etc. Few important points were made. And also, one point Mr. Kandoi made was on the raw blocks ban. I think Mr. Prasad has already said that free market is very important. And he also made a point of Black Galaxy. So Black Galaxy was promoted by the quarry owners somewhere between 90 to 95, 85 to 95. That's the time Black Galaxy was promoted, and the very few buyers from Europe and Taiwan were mainly buying those the Black Galaxy. Only later on Chinese came into the picture. So that is one thing, and I'm very happy to state that with the help of FIGSI and very positive note from the President, General Secretary, and all other EC members, Karnataka has achieved a long pending policy and a very, very industry friendly royalty system with few of the factors, and most of the districts have been has been very helpful to all the districts with reduced royalty rates to encourage people to work more with all right way of quarrying and transporting. This is a very good move from the government of Karnataka now, which is looking at an industry-friendly policy. I think there are a few more policies which are pending. And in this, the first amendment has taken place recently, wherein we have got a very good royalty rates, transfer of lease, then regarding the rake permit and bulk permit. So most of the things are in favor of the quarrying people. It's a welcome this thing from Karnataka, and I thank all the FIGSI people, and I request this continued support from our President and General Secretary and all the Vice Presidents and the office bearers, and the EC members will be for all the states in future will be a good thing. And I once again thank for this opportunity.
Thank you, Keshav. Thank you, Keshav. Sir, I just want to wrap it up now. We really miss Veermani ji. He's not well, so the founder president of FIGSI. We miss Bhagwati ji and the perspective from the stone mission tool industry by Yashwant Sharma ji. And all the speakers have given a fantastic inputs. And over to Prasad ji.
Thank you.
Prasad, before Prasad, I would like to, Mr. Shekhar has asked, Mr. PKRJ Shekhar, do we aware Turkey has imposed 30% additional duty for the Indian imports of natural stone?
Yes, we know.
Mentioning that. Okay. 30% additional duty for Indian imports of natural stone.
Yeah.
Okay. It is for the information of everybody. Right then, I think we had a very healthy, useful deliberations, and we have come to the end of this part of the webinar, the fourth in the series of webinars that we had. I would like to first of all thank President Sri Ishwinder ji for once again, coming up with this idea of webinars. So this series will continue through the year on various subjects. We will go on, meeting and interacting on various subjects. And thanks to Sri Anil Taneja for joining us and giving his views. Thanks to Sri Mahavir Singh Rathod ji, our Vice President. Thanks to Sri R.K. Kandoi ji for his views, frank views. And Sri Ashok Shetty ji for also his very thought-provoking views on all the aspects of the natural stone industry. I'd also like to thank Himanshu Sehgal for the perspective he has given on the tool industry. Thanks to Dr. C.H. Rao for mooting this idea of this Indo-China relations webinar. Thanks to our own Chairman Seminar Subcommittee, Guru Shastri Mutt. Thanks to all the participants for this webinar. Although we didn't have too many participants, I find only about 45 or 50 people joining at the peak. We definitely look forward to more people joining in these kind of discussions in future. Once again, I thank everybody who have made this webinar possible. Thank you very much.
All thank you, Prasad, for your coordination. Well coordinated.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you,
So bye-bye. See you all.
Thank you, Ji. Thank you. Bye-bye. Thank you, Ji.
Thank you.
Corona namaskar.
Hello?